Hey, this is RJ May, and you're watching Mr. Mario 2011.
Hey guys, what is going on? It is me, Mr. Mario, and I just felt like I would make this random commentary, and I feel like it's going to be a fun one to make, and it's going to be a bit of a rant, so if you all, maybe your opinions might change with me, I really don't know, and if they do, you might subscribe, you might unsubscribe, you might stop watching my videos, I don't know. But this is kind of an unspoken thing. Now, as many of you might know, and excitedly enough, a lot of people on here actually don't know about this. I kind of came to fruition. All this channel kind of started coming on the come up because of the Xbox 360 modding scene. Essentially, back in 2011, I was figuring out, how to flash Xbox drives, how to patch, backup games, all that stuff. In every single tutorial, they either left out little tiny details that were, really easy to glance over, or they were outdated, or they were fake, or they were scams, or anything like that. So what I did was I had to go learn all this stuff myself, and I came in at actually an easy time. It used to be a lot harder, but I started learning to do it myself, and then I just picked up a camera, I started recording everything, and I didn't think it would ever get to this level. I really didn't. So, thank you all very much for the support if you've been here for the longest time, and I know several people are OGs to the channel on here, but anyways, essentially, I'm going to be talking here about things modders hate. Now, I've gathered this from my own mind, from my own experiences, not owned experiences, and I have also talked to several other people who are, kind of dominant in the modding scene, whether they develop or whether they mod, just low-key, or they do YouTube stuff, anything like that. I've talked to many people, and these are things that normally go unspoken. And I'm going to be talking about, just things that normal, modders hate and everything. Now, the term modder I'm talking about here, I'm talking about someone, they modify consoles, software, hardware, whatever it is, and they might even do some tutorials here and there or help out other people on a website such as here, like YouTube, or they might do it on whatever form, they're respective to, so, a DS, a 3DS form, an Xbox 360, a PS3 form, anything like that. So, this is only the tip of the iceberg as well. I'm not even going to be covering anything because honestly there's way too much stuff I can't cover. But I'm excited to see what you all want to add to this list, and maybe we'll make another video of it, who knows. But anyways, without further ado, one of the first things I want to talk about is, by the way, I'm probably going to sound very insulting, and I'm probably going to sound negative in this video, but you know what, just bear with me, this is just pent-up rage on the inside a little bit. One thing that modders hate is incompetence and people who cannot read. Now, when I'm talking about this, yes, I understand there are some guides that are very hard, very intricate, very technical, that not an average Joe or even a person who is semi-experienced can understand. I mean, hell, there's even guides on things that I've seen, and they make my brain hurt after I read them. And reading is a very important aspect, and even, there's a whole nother thing, modding is worldwide. So there are people who don't understand the English language fully, and English might be their second language, or if it's on, a Spanish form or a French form, there's people from all different walks of life. But what I am talking about is the little basic stuff, and what do I mean by that? I am talking about, for example, when you cannot read disclaimers, when you cannot read, any type of big print, and when you cannot do simple math. Let's just take an example here, okay? This has been happening a lot recently with the 3DS scene, at least on my videos, because in case you don't know, there were new updates to the Gateway 3DS, which means that now the Gateway 3DS can run on newer systems and all that. So now there are a lot of people coming in, and with that there are a lot of noobs coming in, and I try and pride myself on making my videos noob-friendly and trying to answer most, if not all, questions within the video, and that means I am very repetitive with my speech. I will repeat things multiple times to get the point across and to hammer it into people's heads. So, for example, when I say this exploit only works on 9.2 firmware and below, I mean it only works on 9.2 firmware and below, but what is the first thing that people ask? Does it work on 9.3? Does it work on 9.4? And I've answered this multiple times in the video. It is in the damn title. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And this question still gets asked. When people don't do basic reading, when people glance over stuff like that, that's what gets modders mad. That's one thing that gets modders mad. Another thing, when it comes down to it, is stubbornness, attitudes, whatever it is. People don't like being around mean people. So if you're going to give an attitude, whether you are another modder or whether you're someone learning and all that, we don't want to help you. If you're going to feel entitled about, everything, we're not going to help you out with this. And part of this is also a blame game. People hate getting blamed for things that they don't rightfully, or they're not supposed to get rightfully blamed for. There's been actually a few of my videos, for example, where it's just like, formatting something or doing whatever it is, and people have gotten mad at me. For example, like there was one video where it was like how to format a drive to, I think to work on an Xbox 360, something like that. And people were getting mad when I said in the video multiple times, this will delete your data, so back it up. And in case you don't know, that's what format is. Format means wipe, essentially. And there were people that were getting mad at me, and they're like, oh, man, fuck you. You're terrible. I did this to my drive, and it still doesn't work properly, and I lost all my data. And I was like, why are you blaming me for your incompetence? That's not how it should go. Another thing right here, if you're in sales, this is a big one right here. When people try and offset their bad decisions onto you. For example, let's say I actually, when I was doing, some modding stuff in town, doing some drive flashes and all that, there was some guy where this will be a bit of a story, and the story didn't even make sense to the point where, like, you could just, like, off his emails, they just, like, rank of bullshit. Like, it was so bad, it just smelled terrible. But what ended up happening was I see this guy, and he posted up an Xbox 360, and he was like, yeah, I'm willing to trade my Xbox on Light Touch 2 with $30 for an Xbox with Light Touch 3 already installed on it. So I message him, right? I email him, and and I was like, hey, well, I could swap you, or, I could just flash your drive if you want to, so you don't have to do all this. So I'm just like, I think I said like $30. So I said, okay, this is what I'll do. I'll come pick up the Xbox from you. I'll flash the drive. I'll bring it back to you. $30. That's it. This guy has an attitude with me, and he says, no, I'm going to pay you $15. I'm going to drive over to your house, and all you need to do is take out the drive, hook it up to your computer, and flash it. And first off, I'm just like, okay, no, you're the one who needs me, so these are my terms, which I thought were very fair. And two, you're making it sound extremely easy, which, I mean, to me, since I'm experienced enough with it, it was extremely easy to me. But if you're belittling that, why do you need me to do this? So I said, no, I am not agreeing to those terms. I already gave you my terms. I think they are very fair. And then this guy goes into other stuff where he said, yeah, well, I bought this Xbox, and I bought this with it, and this with it, and this with it for this much money. And then I drove out to my friend's house, and I had him flash it and drove back to my house, but it was an outdated flash. And then ever since I put this ad up on Craigslist, which it had been like a day, he's like, ever since I put this ad up on Craigslist, I traded my Xbox with someone else, but also got another Xbox with Light Touch 2. I've put in way too much money in this, and the only reason why I want to swap with someone or pay someone to flash is because I don't want to get this tool here. So that's why I'm saying $15. And the first thing that went through my mind was, whoa, 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 wait a minute. First off, you made some extremely stupid spending decisions, just like common sense stuff, just extremely stupid. But don't blame. Like, just one, all that was stupid, but two, just because you made horrible financial decisions does not mean I need to drop my prices for you. The funny thing was, I also told one of my friends about this, who's, really into business and all that, like, and he's got some good street smarts and everything, so he bust out laughing. He's like, see, that's what I hate about people. You wouldn't have people like that running into Walmart trying to negotiate with people like that, but you know why people try to negotiate and belittle people like you? They do that because you are just a person. You don't have a storefront or anything, because they would never try that in a store, but they're going to try it with you within 2 seconds. But pretty much that never happened with that guy. And with that blame game, as I said, it's just when people mess up on their own merit and they don't want to take the blame themselves and they blame someone else when we've given you when it's not our fault at all. I put out a video. I try and make it as clear and as safe as possible. If you mess up at one point, that is your fault. I've seen people who have messed up flashing a drive, and guess what? They blame Microsoft, which I find hilarious because it's like, well, you're voiding your warranty, opening up your system, using third-party tools on your computer in a way that your drive should not be running to flash your firmware over, and then you get mad at Microsoft. Like, no, I mean, I have my support for the companies and all that. Granted, I do like to crack open all my systems and everything and unlock the full potential of them. But hell, if I am soldering something onto a motherboard and then, you know, I flash over a NAND and it's a bad NAND and I brick my motherboard, that's my fault right there. Or it might be the program's fault if it recompiled it wrongly. But then that's been another thing too, where, you know, you might talk to a developer, something where something is going wrong and they don't want to acknowledge it. It's just, this whole blame game is not good for the modding scene. It really isn't. It gets annoying, it gets frustrating, all that stuff. Another big thing are the skids. The script kiddies, essentially the 10, 11, 12-year-old kids who think they are gods because they know how to connect their Xbox or their PlayStation to their computer. They know how to, you know, do real-time modding, or even less than that, they know how to copy and paste some files and do anything like that to take a modded system online. These kids, you'll see them everywhere. It happened at the end of, you know, the Xbox, the original Xbox's life cycle. When the 360 came out, the original Xbox was modded to hell. It's happening right now. New systems are out. The PS3 is getting modded to hell. The Xbox 360, oh, that thing is gone. Like, I have seen some videos, there are people complaining, there are games like Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto Online, they're nearly unplayable on the older systems because you have so many people, like, for example, to take a JTAG Online, all you need is a little bit of money and a little bit of reading skill, and you can take your JTAG Online easily. That's it, and you might not even need that much money, honestly. So it's so easy, it's so cheap to do it now, and it's just, it can be infuriating at times because you have people that they don't realize what they're doing. They don't realize, you know, the capabilities of anything like that, but they're trying to, I guess, oversell themselves, anything like that, which that just gets annoying too because you're just trying to, you know, boast this facade of self-confidence, and it does not work. So that's why, honestly, there are a lot of people who are like that I just, you know, I don't acknowledge, I don't talk to anything like that, because I'm just like, okay, you know, you do your own thing, I'm having fun with my stuff over here, so we'll be good. Those are just quite a few things I was thinking of there, but there's one more thing I'm thinking of before I want to end this commentary. Alright, I lied. Two things I actually want to talk about. First one is people spamming, and these will kind of go hand in hand, I guess. And when people spam, you know, promoting their tools, promoting their services, whatever it is, but also when people like me, for example, or other people who are going to be helping others, you know, through tutorials and all that, when we get spammed with messages, and it's not, you know, just like one here or there. It's like, no, there's a person who will repeatedly spam. Like, for example, this might be like if it's on Twitter, you know, somebody might tweet me and they'll say, hey, I need help with this. And they'll keep tweeting. And then every time I tweet, they'll reply to a tweet, or they might hit you on your inbox all the time, or always hit you with messages. I'm one of those people, actually, when I start getting annoyed with that, I'm actually less inclined to communicate with that person. So it's kind of a counteractive thing, because what people are thinking is if they annoy me enough, I'll respond, while it's actually the opposite, at least in my head, where I'm like, if I get annoyed, I want to stay further away from you. So that's not how that's going to work. Also, it's just kind of, you know, a respectful thing. Just do it once, maybe do it twice, and that's it. But also, then when people do stuff like that, the worst part is when they try and talk to you like you're stupid, because they might send you a message here, they might send you a message there, then they'll message you on other things and say, hey, please read my message, please check your messages, please read my message. And it's like, I know how to do all that. There's a reason why I'm not talking to you. But last thing I wanted to talk about here is I'm a bit like Tron. I fight for the users, and because of that, I don't like scammers, I don't like fakers, and I hate people who put out misinformation and they're too ignorant to recognize it. Now, with scammers, they'll scam you for money, whatever it is. With fakers, they're going to, front whatever it is. They might even do some scamming here and there. They might do things like give you tools, programs, and all that, and attach rats to them, which are, viruses, remote administration tools, things like that. But then the people who put out misinformation, there's actually several people, I've had to remove their comments and even just completely block them on this channel because they will put out comments on my videos spouting misinformation about a topic, and because they sound so sure, other people will think that that person is telling the truth and all that, and say that I need to change my material when that's actually not the case, and it was just a matter of not properly fact-checking and properly reading into the details. Stuff like that, I just absolutely hate. And that's kind of another thing where it's more, you talk about things and you just need to realize when you're wrong, and a lot of people don't want to realize when they're wrong. It's just kind of a human trait. A lot of people don't want to. Anyways, if you are still enjoying this video and you are subscribed, thank you so much for having your opinion not be too lowered of me. And if it is differed, hey, I'll see you later. It's been good viewership. But yeah, if you have any other things, any other things like this that are kind of related, well, go ahead, comment down below, because I'm sure the comments would be entertaining and the stories would be entertaining and all that. And if we have enough things, we might even do part 2 to this video. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you for watching, everyone. Try not to piss anyone off today.